Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Speakeasy English. I'm David, your host.
And I'm Sarah, your co-host. It's great to be back with all of you English learners out there.
Today, we're embarking on a very important and quite extensive discussion about a topic that is foundational to truly mastering English: reading.
That's right, David. When we talk about improving English, most people immediately think of speaking and listening, which are, of course, vital. But reading often gets underestimated or even overlooked in its power.
Absolutely. And over the next, a long time, we're going to break down exactly why reading is not just important, but absolutely crucial for significant English improvement. We'll cover everything from vocabulary acquisition to grammar understanding, cultural context, and even just building confidence.
So let's just jump right in. David, what's the very first thing that comes to mind when you think about the benefits of reading for an English learner?
For me, it's undeniably vocabulary expansion. There's simply no better, more organic way to encounter new words and see them used in context than through reading.
I completely agree. Think about it. When you learn a word from a list, it's often isolated. But when you read, you see the word in a sentence, surrounded by other words that give it meaning. You also see its collocations, the words that typically go with it.
Exactly. You might not even realize you're learning. You might encounter a new word, understand its general meaning from the context, and then see it again and again in different contexts. This repetition, in varied settings, helps solidify it in your memory far more effectively than rote memorization.
And it's not just about learning individual words. It's about learning phrases, idioms, and even sentence structures. Reading exposes you to a vast array of linguistic patterns that you might not encounter as frequently in everyday conversation.
That brings us perfectly to the next huge benefit: grammar. Reading is a silent grammar teacher. You're constantly absorbing correct sentence structures, verb tenses, punctuation usage, and the natural flow of English.
You don't need to consciously analyze every sentence for its grammatical structure, although you can. But simply by exposing yourself to well-formed English, your brain starts to internalize these patterns. It builds an intuitive understanding of what sounds right in English.
Think about native speakers. We don't learn grammar rules from a textbook first. We learn by immersion, by hearing and reading. For English learners, reading provides that crucial immersion experience, albeit a visual one.
And it helps you identify your own grammatical errors. If you consistently read sentences structured correctly, when you produce a sentence that feels off, you might intuitively know something is wrong, even if you can't immediately articulate the rule.
Let's talk about pronunciation. While reading is a visual activity, it actually aids pronunciation, especially when you read aloud. Reading aloud helps connect the written word to its spoken form.
It forces you to articulate sounds and practice intonation. Even if you're reading silently, the mere act of recognizing words and their common spellings helps reinforce phonics and typical English pronunciation patterns in your mind.
And when you combine reading with listening, say reading an audiobook while following along with the text, the benefits are amplified immensely. You're getting the visual and auditory input simultaneously.
That's a fantastic point for learners. It really bridges that gap between understanding the written word and producing the spoken word correctly.
Moving on, reading significantly improves your comprehension skills. Not just understanding individual words, but understanding complex ideas, arguments, and narratives.
It teaches you to follow a train of thought, to infer meaning, to understand context clues, and to grasp the overall message of a text. These are critical skills, not just for language learning, but for life in general.
And the more you read, the faster you become at processing information in English. Your reading speed and comprehension speed will naturally increase over time, making all English-related tasks easier.
This leads us to cultural understanding. Reading isn't just about words and grammar, it's a window into the culture of English-speaking countries.
Whether it's fiction, nonfiction, news articles, or historical texts, reading exposes you to different perspectives, social norms, historical events, and values that shape the English-speaking world.
Understanding these cultural nuances can significantly improve your communication, as you'll be better equipped to understand references, humor, and underlying meanings in conversations.
And it also helps you understand how different communities within the English-speaking world express themselves. For example, reading British literature versus American literature can highlight subtle differences in vocabulary and expression.
Let's talk about writing skills. Reading is paramount for improving your writing in English.
Absolutely. When you read, you're observing how skilled writers construct sentences, paragraphs, and entire pieces of text. You pick up on effective writing strategies, stylistic choices, and how to organize ideas logically.
It provides models for your own writing. If you want to write better essays, read essays. If you want to write better emails, read well-written emails. You learn by imitation and adaptation.
And it helps you develop your own voice in writing. The more you read different styles, the more you can experiment and find what works for you.
Beyond the direct language benefits, reading also has significant cognitive advantages. It improves your focus and concentration.
In our increasingly digital and distracted world, dedicating time to reading a longer text forces your brain to focus for sustained periods, which is a fantastic exercise for your mental stamina.
And it stimulates critical thinking. When you read, especially more complex texts, you're constantly evaluating information, forming opinions, and making connections.
This is particularly true for non-fiction or argumentative essays, where you're presented with different viewpoints and encouraged to analyze them.
Another often overlooked benefit is memory improvement. Reading regularly exercises your brain, strengthening neural pathways, and improving your ability to retain information.
It's like a workout for your brain. The more you read, the better your brain becomes at recalling facts, sequences, and details.
And for language learners, this is crucial for remembering new vocabulary, grammar rules, and even cultural information.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about how to make reading a part of your routine. Because knowing it's important is one thing, but actually doing it consistently is another.
Exactly. The first and most important tip is to read what you enjoy. If you force yourself to read something you find boring, you won't stick with it.
Whether it's fiction, non-fiction, news, blogs, comics, fan fiction, whatever genuinely interests you in your native language, try to find something similar in English.
Start with materials that are at or slightly above your current level. If it's too difficult, you'll get frustrated. If it's too easy, you won't be challenged enough to learn.
A good rule of thumb is the five-finger rule. If you encounter more than 5 new words on a page, it might be too difficult for now.
Don't be afraid to reread. Rereading a text, especially one you enjoyed, can help solidify vocabulary and grammar without the pressure of encountering too many new things.
Set realistic goals. Don't aim to read an entire novel in a week if you're just starting out. Maybe aim for 1 page a day, or even just 10 to 15 minutes. Consistency is key, not speed.
And make it a habit. Try to incorporate reading into your daily routine. Before bed, during your commute, while eating breakfast, find a slot that works for you.
Utilize resources. There are so many tools available to help English learners with reading. Online dictionaries, translation apps, e-readers with built-in dictionaries.
And don't forget about graded readers. These are books specifically written for English learners with controlled vocabulary and grammar levels. They are excellent for building confidence.
Also, audiobooks, as we mentioned earlier, especially those with accompanying text, are gold. They help with both reading and listening comprehension.
Don't be afraid to skip words you don't know. Especially when you're starting, the goal is to understand the general meaning. You don't need to look up every single unknown word. It can break your flow and make reading feel like a chore.
Exactly. Focus on the main idea. You can always go back later and look up specific words if they seem crucial to understanding or if you keep seeing them.
Join a book club or reading group, even an online one. Discussing what you've read can deepen your comprehension and provide opportunities to practice speaking about the text.
Reading aloud, even for a few minutes each day, can be incredibly beneficial. It helps with pronunciation, intonation, and connecting the written word to the spoken word.
And use a pen or highlighter. Underline new words or phrases, make notes in the margins. Engaging actively with the text can improve retention.
Let's talk about different types of reading materials. It's not just about novels.
Absolutely. News articles are fantastic for staying up to date with current events and encountering formal and informal language, depending on the publication.
Blogs and online articles are often more conversational and can be a good starting point for learners who find traditional news too dense.
Short stories are excellent because they offer a complete narrative experience without the long-term commitment of a novel. You get a sense of accomplishment faster.
Magazines on topics you enjoy, whether it's fashion, technology, science, or sports, can be great for learning specialized vocabulary.
Cookbooks and recipe blogs can be surprisingly useful, especially for learning imperative verbs and sequential instructions.
User manuals or instructions for products you own, these might not be exciting, but they offer very practical, real-world English.
Song lyrics. If you love music, finding the lyrics to your favorite English songs and reading along can be a fun way to connect listening and reading.
And social media posts and comments, while often informal, they reflect how people communicate authentically in English online. Just be mindful of slang and abbreviations.
Comics and graphic novels are also excellent because the visuals provide strong contextual clues, making it easier to follow the story and infer meaning.
And of course, classic literature, when you're ready for it. Reading classics can expose you to a richer, more formal style of English and a deeper cultural understanding, but approach them carefully.
Yes, perhaps start with simplified versions or parallel texts for classics if you're not at an advanced level yet.
Let's address some common challenges learners face with reading and how to overcome them.
One big one is getting overwhelmed by unknown vocabulary. As we said, don't look up every word. Focus on understanding the gist.
If you find yourself constantly reaching for the dictionary, the material is probably too difficult. Try something simpler.
Another challenge is losing motivation. This often happens if the material isn't engaging or if progress feels slow.
Vary your reading material. If you're tired of a novel, switch to some articles or short stories. Keep it fresh. And remember why you started. The long-term benefits are immense.
Difficulty concentrating is also common. Find a quiet place to read without distractions. Put your phone away. Treat reading time as sacred.
And for those who struggle with reading fatigue, take breaks. Read for 20-30 minutes, then do something else, then come back to it.
Some learners feel like they should be reading faster. Don't pressure yourself. Speed comes with practice. Focus on comprehension first, speed second.
And don't be afraid to reread sentences or paragraphs if you don't understand them the first time. It's part of the learning process.
Finally, the fear of making mistakes or misinterpreting something. It's okay. Reading is a personal journey. The more you engage with the language, the more your understanding will solidify.
Remember, every word you read, every sentence you comprehend is building your English foundation stronger and stronger.
Let's reiterate some of the core benefits we've discussed, just to drive home the point.
Vocabulary expansion. It's the natural, organic way to learn new words in context.
Grammar mastery. You internalize correct structures without needing to explicitly memorize rules.
Improved pronunciation. Especially when reading aloud, it connects the written and spoken word.
Enhanced comprehension. You learn to understand complex ideas and narratives.
Cultural understanding. It's a direct window into the nuances and values of English-speaking cultures.
Better writing skills. You learn by observing skilled writers.
Cognitive benefits. Increased focus, critical thinking, and memory.
And perhaps most importantly, increased confidence and enjoyment in your English journey.
When you start to understand more and more, when you can follow a story or an argument in English, it's incredibly motivating.
It shows you tangible progress and makes the whole learning process more rewarding.
So, to all our listeners, if you haven't already made reading a central part of your English learning strategy, we urge you to start today.
Even just 15 minutes a day, consistently, can make an enormous difference over time. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Think of it as a quiet, patient, and incredibly effective teacher that's always available to you.
And the more you read, the more doors will open for you in terms of understanding spoken English, engaging in deeper conversations, and expressing yourself more fluently.
It really is the cornerstone of comprehensive language acquisition. Without a strong reading habit, you're missing out on a huge piece of the puzzle.
So, find a book, an article, a blog post, anything that sparks your interest, and just start reading.
You'll be amazed at how quickly your English skills will blossom.
That's all the time we have for this extensive episode on the importance of reading. We hope you found it insightful and motivating.
Thank you for tuning in to Speakeasy English. We'll be back soon with another topic to help you on your English learning journey.
Happy reading, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time. Goodbye.
Bye for now.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and let me know your favorite part in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one.